Hey everybody, I hope you're all having a great day, and I hope you had a great weekend. It's been a little bit since I last streamed. I actually caught a cold last Friday, and I don't know, whenever I catch anything like that, it goes right to my lungs and causes my asthma to act up, and then it's just, there's no way I could have talked for 2 hours and without having a coughing fest, but that's alright. I'm pretty much all better now. It was just a mild cold, thankfully, so it didn't take too long to get over it. But okay, so let's go ahead and get back to the lobby. So we are working on adding these player slots, and I think I'll continue with that today. I realized over my break that there was I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, I can't actually interact with it from the editor, of course. So for example, let's just remove this second slot. This first one, we already have the connected and disconnected versions of the username, but we actually need even more because for an AI, we wouldn't want the username to be displayed here. We would want to also have a drop down where you could select all available AI scripts. And then also you might want to set this player as a guest. So then you would want to be able to, how would you, okay, well I guess all a guest really is just a hot seat. So pretty much if you wanted to do that, the host would just set that up by saying okay guest, and then it would have a drop down of players, and then you would be able to add art. Yeah, I think that's how it would work. So yeah, we need a couple more things here, and I noticed that this username isn't centered correctly. I think. Okay, I'm scared to mess with anything. Okay, so I have child control size. It doesn't seem to do anything. So why does this not expand to fill the tire height? Like, okay, well, it says height is 32 here, so it actually does, but for some reason the text... Oh, does it have a second line? Oh, that was it. Okay, so yeah, that's better. So I guess this will just be a connected player, and then disconnected mode. I guess this would also be a player, because you could reserve this for a specific player to connect to. Then we'd want to have another option for an AI. Okay, let's get rid of this. We won't need a toggle. I guess we will need a label. So this would be something like script. And then we'll have a drop down of, oops, what did I just do? Okay, I think I pressed page down or something. So we want a drop down menu to select the script from all loaded mods. Alright, so let's see. Okay, so I want to have flexible width. Okay, so if I just turn that off, then it sets it to just expand, which is fine. Okay, so I don't need to mess with anything else here except... Yeah, these options will be filled out by the will be filled out by the lobby controller by after it's loading its mods, but we don't have that set up yet. So I'll just say I'll just add a couple dummy things in here. Script 1. Yes, that will be fine. I think pretty much done there. And then the other option is, yeah, guest. So let's see. So, okay, I guess what we'll want here is to have like the, I don't want to call it the parent. This isn't really, I don't really want to use the term host because the host is technically what the player that's hosting the lobby is called. Okay, let's just do this. Guest of, and then we'll have another drop down, and this will just contain different players, which will also be filled out by the system, but I'll just put some dummies in here for now. Oops, I did not spell guest correctly. And then we'll probably want a couple other things here. Okay, so let's call this drop down label. I don't need to capitalize that L. And then I'll call this, we'll have like a way that you can, that the guests can name themselves. Let's not use username, I'll just use nickname. And then we'll have a text field. Okay, and yeah, these won't have any size, so I'll need to add a layout element. And then we'll just give it a preferred width of 100. And go ahead and tell it to have flexible width and height, so that way it will fill up the space. Okay, and then this would be like the actual guest will be able to fill out this area. Probably, yeah, we won't want, this doesn't need to have flexible width because we want the extra space to go to this text field. Okay, so this will be fine. Probably in the final version, we'd only want this to be a text field for the player that can actually enter text. Otherwise, it should just be just a label that would say what the guests wanted to name themselves. But this is fine for now. Okay, so I think that's all the possibilities. Okay, so let's leave it on disconnected player because it's probably the most common. Alright, so then if we duplicate, there's no issues with adding more. So what I want to do, I guess, is just make this into a prefab so that we can have more. Let me clean this up, folder up a bit. Okay, so if I drag that in there, it's going to create it as a prefab, and I'll rename this to slot UI. All right. Sorry about that. I think we're good to go here. So, okay, let's just call this slots label. I guess I'll leave it there. I don't really know if I'm going to need to keep it. Okay, so are we ready to start doing some of the script controllers for this, I think? Yeah, so I'm trying to decide the best way to approach it. Because we have this UI, and then we have the controllers for the UI elements, and then we have the actual script control, and they should only interact with events. So probably the best idea would maybe be to think about all the events, and then we can just work either way. Okay, so I already have this file here. Okay, so I think I'll just have one event, which will be like refresh. Or let's see, lobby slots changed event. Oh, what am I doing here? I also forgot the slot or the class keyword. Okay, so this will just fire whenever the lobby slots change in the system code. But I'll probably want an event for every button that you can basically press in here. So I want something for like player type change, and then like I said, like every button. So it'd be nice. Oops, this is wrong. Okay, so let's see, I've got ready status, player AI spectator, connected state, username, player's team. Okay. Just trying to think about the best way to organize this. Okay. I think I'll actually rewrite this and kind of organize it more based on what we've actually got working here. Kind of difficult to work with just one monitor. Okay, well, let's see. We've got... Okay, so we'll need to update the slot label. The slot type icon, slot player type, or let's see. I don't have to put slot at the beginning of everything. The type icon, the type drop down, and then okay, so connected player username. This connected player let's see, reserved toggle and username. Let's do it this way. Okay, and then for AI, just got the script Oops. Okay, let's say type info. Kind of organize this a little better. Yeah, so we just have the script drop down. And then for guest, we have parent drop down and nickname. Okay, and then we just have this the team. Which doesn't have any, like it won't have any input. We'll just need to print out a string here. Later on, we'll probably want to make it pretty by having icons and everything, but that's fine. And then actions. Remove slot, kick, player, transfer player. Okay, so for basically each of these, we'll want to have, well, anyone that has any input will want to have an event associated with it. Gosh, sorry about that. Okay, so we'll want, let me see here. So anything that just is refreshing based on this data, we'll just use this lobby slots change event. But anything that we can have input back to the system will want to have its own input event. So yeah, the type dropdown. Let's see. I guess I don't have to put lobby at the beginning of this either. The slots changed event. Lot type. Input. Yeah, so let's just put input at the end for anything that comes from the UI, I think. Do I want to... Okay, well, since this is like an... Yeah, so in the create lobby, I had another class that was like the input state, and so I didn't have to pass the input in the event. But in here we have the lobby parameters, so it might be a little different. Because I don't really want the UI files to be changing the lobby parameters, so let me... What's in there? Oh yeah, the lobby parameters are actually in the data namespace. And then we'll also have the index. Okay, and then the connected player doesn't have any input. The disconnected player, you know, we can change this reserve toggle on and off, as well as change the username. So slot disconnected player reserved input. Oh, I forgot the class again. So we'll have the index, and then I guess either reserved on or on. Player, username, input. Okay, and so then we'll have the script drop down. Oh, I guess I need to have the index here too. Okay, and then the guest will want to either, yeah, we'll want to have the parent drop down and then the nickname input. And finally the slot guest nickname input. Let's keep it all lowercase. Okay, and then we just have these actions. So let's see. Public, class, slot, remove, command. And then slot, kick, command. And slot transfer command. That's not how you spell it. So I guess we'll have the source index and then the destination index. Oh, let's call it target. That's because that's shorter. Alright, so I think that's about it. Oh, and all these need to implement iEvent. Okay, so now I can work either from the system up or the UI down. And I think it might be better to work from the UI down because if we have the system, there's no way to test it without an interface. So, or no easy way anyway. But maybe we'll just get some, like the very beginnings of the system. Okay, so when the lobby starts up, yeah, we do have to do a little bit of work. Because we need to, if we're the host, we need to set up some initial parameters and then send it to the server. If we're the client, we need to grab the lobby parameters from the server before we can join the game. Alright, so I guess we should just start with a simple phase state as I've done before. I think I'll just copy this file over. And we don't really have this mode, so we don't have to do that. Oops, that should be capital. Okay, so really we're just gonna have a setup, input, and we'll have like a finalization where it's just like a countdown. Let's just call it countdown, and then we'll have an exit. Well, we'll exit from the scene and go to the loading phase, or you could either just back out of the lobby too. Okay. And I'm gonna just leave all this stuff just in case I need to look into it. It's the old system that just like sets up dummy values and then immediately goes into loading. There's no input. Also, yeah, this needs to be better. So we got context. I guess I'll just resolve flow state. Resolve with this. And the setup lobby controller, I created, yeah, the scene helper. So I definitely want to use that because it makes it easier to work with Unity objects. Will actually just be the lobby scene. And then how it works is, yeah, we have this, we add objects to it that need to wait until the scene is loaded. And then once we've set up all these scripts, we just call the load scene. And I don't think, oh, on dispose, I just need to dispose of it. That's really it. So override, dispose, scene helper, dispose. So that's pretty simple. I guess I'll need a flow manager, and I think I'm again just going to copy this file over because there are some things in common. But I don't want to leave in any things that might not need, so. Mostly just this advanced to state. And yeah, this is at the beginning, but then all the rest of it I'll just delete. Okay, so at the very beginning, it says that if the phase is not initialized, then it will move to setup phase. Okay, and then we'll just have a setup manager, which will, yeah. So if you're the host, it's going to need to grab the lobby parameters. If you're a host, it just needs to set up lobby parameters and send it to the server to basically initialize the server so it can accept more players. If you're client, then you'll need to grab the lobby parameters from the server before you can display anything. So yeah, just set this up. I guess, do I want to have both of those be separate classes or have them be the same? Yeah, well, pretty much. I think that the lobby will notify you whenever the lobby parameters have changed by just sending out a message to all clients. So probably there should be a separate class that just handles receiving the file. And then there'll be a class that would request it. I'm trying to think if there's any other time you'd want to request the lobby parameters than when you first start. I guess not, because the lobby will like automatically give you any changes. So yeah. Okay. I guess we'll just have the setup manager. And this will be a flow logic container, and this is just a parent class that helps interact with our event system. Setup manager. Gotta pass the event queue up. Yeah, for the, I've already said this a million times, but if you're the host, we send things. So I guess we just need to here. Okay, we'll need to have like a state variable that will say if we've ever received the lobby parameters. I don't really want to just use the lobby parameters itself because it could have things left over from before. Got this. Yeah, if you're the host, then it clears things for you. Okay, let's see. I think it might be easier if I have a separate one for host and for client. So let's actually change this to oops. Yeah, host setup manager. Because they're not really gonna have anything in common. Except firing an event. I'll take care of this first. Yeah, we don't really even have to wait until we receive something back from the server because Unity... well maybe we should. Yeah, just to make sure. But Unity does guarantee that your message go through, but probably what we should do is we send this... Okay, well maybe now they do have something in common because, okay, so for the host, we'll send the lobby parameters to the server and then we'll want to wait to receive our lobby parameters back from the server. If we're a client, then yeah, we would just request lobby parameters and then we'd want to wait until we receive it back from the server. So either way, we want to receive it back from the server. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna go back to how I had it before. Okay, so let me try to remember. It's been a little bit since I've actually sent a message to the server. Trying to think of simple class that I can just look at. I guess we'll look at the one that sends the selections during turn to the server, if I can find that. Players phase, Willie, Wester. Oh, okay, well, I didn't name it very well apparently. Oh, here, twice message sender. So yeah, we just have the send helper. Okay, so this sends the info and then also does a ready check. We don't have to do that. Okay, so yeah, we'll just have the message sender. And for that, we'll need this. Okay, and this is to actually receive a message back. Which I don't think this class will handle that. We'll have some other class that receives the lobby parameters from the server. Yeah, so I think that's all we need for now. I guess I will need the flow state, won't I? So flow state. Flow state, state. No, not float state, flow state. Okay, and I don't really need to save this because I just have to pass it through. Oh, thanks Next Timing for following, I really appreciate it. I just need to pass this message sender through to this class. Oh wait, I need to pass this through, so we just need a reference to that. Okay, and so this isn't a ready check message. Actually, yeah, the message we send depends on if we're the host or not, which we will know at this point, so I can go ahead and set it up during this constructor, I think. All right, let's see. I don't know if I've actually have anything set up for lobby parameters. So these actually I can delete, I think. Yeah, they're old, so I'll go ahead and get rid of him. That was back when the clients had to try to synchronize with the server, which we just don't do anymore. I think I still use this though. Yeah. Okay, so I have client set lobby parameters and then request, and then when the server sends it back. Is that how I want to do it though? Probably I should have set lobby parameters request, and then this would just be lobby parameters changed or something. Let's edit a Visual Studio. This is just Visual Studio, but when I work with Lua for mods, I do use Visual Studio Code. This is just Visual Studio Community, I think. I forget the year. Yeah, 2017. Alright, so let's see. So why don't I just call this, or rename this to lobby parameters change or something. And it will always fire whenever the host calls this. And then when somebody requests lobby parameters, it will just send that back to the requester. And no problem, like next timing. Maybe I don't even need to call it lobby parameters change, it'd just be lobby parameters. Yeah, I think that's fine. It's kind of just semantics anyway. Let's see. Okay, it's taking a while to compile there. So setup lobby inspector, signed but not used. Oh, yeah, well, that's just because it's an instructor. I actually meant to, yeah, I wanted to suppress that warning, but I forgot to look up the code for that. Okay, and this is just saying the state is not used, but yeah, it's because I don't not finished with this yet. Okay, so if this is, can I change the key after it's created? No, probably better that way. Let's see. In order to know if I'm the host or not, I need to have the local connection. So if local connection is host, And now this is going to complain, I think, that message sender is null. Oh no, because I'll do it if else, so that'll be fine. Okay, so if I'm the host, I need to set up the lobby parameters. Set. What should this period be? I guess send info. And yeah, it's a different message. Do I already have it? Lobby params message. Okay, I have this copy to function in here, but I don't know if I want to use that. Maybe I should have a different class that will take care of this. Yeah, so maybe this setup manager won't actually send any messages. It will just request messages to be sent, if that makes any sense. Okay, so let's see. Params message sender. So if, this will be a flow logic container, which again just lets us use the event system. And I think I'll have an event here, or I guess it's more like a command, but it'll be class, if I can spell it. But do I want to have... I guess how this would work is that it would send this message until it receives something back from the server saying that the lobby has been changed. So okay, so it's event send params command. Okay, so when this receives that, then it would just start working. I guess I'll the flow state, and we'll definitely need the local connection. Yeah, and then this one will be the one that has the message sender, and probably also the message receiver, because I think... well, I guess not. We'll have another event. Let's change event. We won't even have this. This would be more like lobby params changed event, and then I guess we'll have a class here for lobby params received. I guess this is kind of the same thing. Not necessarily. This just means we received lobby params from the server. Yeah. I guess I should, if I'm gonna have an events file, I should just keep them all in here. These don't really need to be public. Not that it makes much difference, but anything outside the lobby namespace won't need to access these. Okay, and then I guess we'll just, while I'm here, I'll go ahead and do the request parameters command. And I don't need to have lobby in front of these either. Okay, so I'll go ahead and generate the constructor, and I won't need to have this message sender sent to me. Instead, I'll need that request and the message queue. And also need the event queue. Oops. Which I have to pass up to my parent. Okay, so now that that's done, I'll copy this over. Because we don't need it here, I don't think. We will need to know if we're the host or not, so I'll leave that. So I guess this class actually won't really do anything at all if we're not the host. But I guess I can go ahead and just create this class. It doesn't really cause any problems if it's around, even if it's not going to be used. Okay, so... Oops. So what do I... Oh yeah, I just was looking up at that. So I guess I won't... Gosh, so I shouldn't send this message, or set this message yet, because I will wait until I receive the set lobby parameters command. Also, what happens with this sender if I change the message? So if I... Okay, so if it's active, it's gonna throw an exception. Well, that's okay. Yeah, I would just set it to be inactive, then change the message, then set it active again. That actually would work better because I'd want it to send something right away. Alright, so let me see here. Well, events... Oh, wait. Yeah, tickables, add new event exists listener for phase change. And this just happens that when we'll want to stop the sender if it's out of phase. So this is active. Excuse me. Yeah, my voice is still a little messed up from the cold, but hopefully it won't crack too much. So yeah, this should be active only if it's already active and we're in a good phase. So state phase is setup, or state phase is input. Why is it not like that? Only assignment call and increment new can be used as a statement. Oh, that should just be 1 equals. Okay. I think this is right, although I just realized we probably should have one more phase here. We'll need to have a ready check. Not that that affects this too much. Although I guess we could do this during the ready check, so... let me think. Probably, actually... So what should happen here is... where was I? Rid of that. I guess I closed it already. I wanted to have the flow state. So what should happen is during the input, if one player... Oh, okay. I know how this should work. So during the input phase, immediately once you press ready, you'll go into the ready phase and all input will stop, except for you'll be able to cancel out. But then once everybody has signaled they're ready, then we actually don't want to go to countdown immediately because we'll want to make sure all the lobby parameters are synchronized just by doing one more lobby parameter request. And then we'll do a countdown and then exit. So let's do param sync. But I guess I shouldn't think that far ahead. I think that's how I will do it, but just in case. So yeah, really, we wouldn't want to send this. I guess we still could send it during ready, so let's leave it like that. And then want to have another queue here for event exists listener. What is it? Send params command. Okay, so for this one, like I said, if message sender is active, we'll want to set it to inactive. I guess I could do it. I don't have to do an if statement for that. So active is false, because if it's already active, it's not going to do anything. And then I need to set the message, which I'll just... that. Thanks, newbie, for following. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy your time here. And then set active back to true once we've set the message. And I think that's about it. Let me see. I will do that later. I just want to get the flow set up. And then we'll have something params received. And this event will be important that it's what's called, or it's queued immediately. So I'll need to make sure it runs before these other classes, because if we receive something, we'll want it to turn off the message sender immediately before we start doing anything else. So we'll actually set that. You can control the order that these events are fired by the order you add them to the list. Okay, so yeah, just on received, we want to actually, do I want, oh no, this class want to take care of that. Some class would want to make sure that if we're the host, when we receive the lobby parameters back from the server, we want to make sure they actually match up. Although, doing that could... yeah, that's probably not a good idea, actually, now that I think about it. Because we could get lobby parameters from the server that are older than what we've received. And we don't want to just say that they're wrong at that point. I guess we want to do validation at the very end when we do that synchronize. Because before that, it doesn't matter quite so much if the rest of the players, or if the lobby or the server is somehow cheating by changing the parameters. Because they're still in flux, but... although... I don't even know if I need to worry about that, because right now the architecture is set up so that the host is the server, so it's kind of impossible for the server to cheat on the host, but I don't know. Oh, thanks for the host, Offie Gamer. I had a lot of activity this morning. I really do appreciate it. I didn't realize that you were streaming. I'll have to try and catch you sometime. But how did it go? Let me see. Anyway, I guess on received, we just would turn this off. Set that to off, and then we'll want to... Oh, I guess we don't have to fire this event because it's already been sent by something else, so... Is that it for this? Yeah, I think I am following you. Yeah, I hadn't caught your stream yet, but I need to try and... I'll try and see. I'm glad it went well. Yeah, I've been pretty good. Well, I just got over a cold, but I'm feeling much better now. Okay, so I guess this will just be params, message, receiver. I think I originally thought that this class would do it, but the host and client are both going to receive messages, so it's probably better to just have one class to take care of that. Yeah, it doesn't take much to have a good time, I found. But yeah, just keep at it. Although I guess... Yeah, thanks. It wasn't really that bad of a cold, but it doesn't really take much to trigger my asthma, so I had to take a... Well, I definitely couldn't talk for 2 hours, I'll put it that way. So this will have flow... Oh wait. Yeah, the flow state, I guess. And then we'll need to have the actual lobby parameters. I did forget one thing. On the other class. Well, I guess we'll worry about that later. So we'll need to actually create the message, which it grabs from this. I'll just go ahead and add this class because we will need it, but I just want to make sure that the flow logic makes sense first. Yeah, that's so long. Yeah, I tried to stream for about that long. So yeah, it's pretty long to try and talk with coughing and runny nose. Okay, so this is about all this we'll need. We'll need to grab the message queue and the event queue. Oops. And the difference between them is that the events is just our normal game logic events, but the messages are what we receive from the server, and unlike the event queue, which is cleared every frame, the message queue, everything stays on there until it's actually seen by an object. And that's just so we won't accidentally lose a message from the server. So I want to do pickables, add new for each message listener. Do I have a lobby? I don't know if I have a lobby message already. Let's close some of this. Okay, I do have lobby parameters message received. Okay, messages on server message received. Okay, so we want to do something here. Let's just have another class. Private void translate to params. I guess we want to validate. Okay, well, I guess this class will take care of both of that. It's probably fine. Yeah, but we won't validate unless we're in that ending phase, because like I said, if we try to validate it while there's still input going on, we could run into synchronization issues, which would be a pain to tell the difference from cheating, if not impossible. So yeah, I won't do it then. So I guess for now we'll just won't do anything. I should probably put something here so I don't forget about this though. Log, not translate, network, messages, not implemented. Probably, it's bad grammar. Okay, so what we'll do here, var net message equals message dot. Okay, this is getting really confusing. Let's change this to I guess event message. So if this is not null, I don't know if it can be null, but just in case, then we'll just call this and it will do its job. Maybe we should do a try catch. I'm not sure how I want to do error handling in the lobby. I guess I'll worry about that later. Because really there's not that many errors that can happen. And like I said, we won't actually do any validation unless we're in a certain flow state. So if in input, or let's see, setup, input, or ready phases do not validate could have sync issues. Okay, but anyway, so I guess regardless, we'll just queue immediate the message receiver event. So grams message what was it? Received? Oh yeah, received event. Okay, and this queued immediate makes it like normally an event that is not queued until the next frame. And that's just so that we're sure that every class that might be interested in it actually sees it. But if we queue it immediately, that means we want this event to be acted on as soon as possible. The only issue is that any class that ran before this function on the ticking list would not see this event, so you have to be careful there. Every little feature, for example, adding a player or multiplayer, would you need a lot of coding skills? Well, adding multiplayer, I would say yes, because that's multiplayer is actually very complicated. You could get by maybe with Unity, but because their network system is actually pretty easy to use. But yeah, you'd still probably need to know some programming. But yeah. Yeah, networking is one of those things that you kind of have to build the game knowing that you want it to be multiplayer, because if you don't, it's very difficult to add in. Okay, so I think I'm good. We're good here. So let's see. And the lobby controller, I want to add in these new classes. Initialize, flow manager, and this can be flow control. Initialize, setup manager. This doesn't actually do anything yet, but grams, message, sender, and this can just be normal. think. Yeah, because if there's any, excuse me, and this doesn't even fire the event that the parameters have been updated, so something else will do that. That's a good point, actually. What class will do that? Because the receiver right now does immediately place all the parameters on in the object, so I guess I should just fire both of these events, the received and params changed. I don't know if this caused any issues, if this class takes care of both, but actually this should only happen if there's no errors, so like that. Yeah, they should both be immediate because we want to make sure that if anything in the parameters have changed, then a class would see it, would see this event. Yeah, before it checks the lobby parameters, so yeah, I think that's good. But I guess I just need to figure out what priority it should go on. Let me see. Connection manager. I think it really makes a whole lot of sense. So I'll just add something here. So lobby, params, receiver. Not that big of a deal to add in more priorities. Oops, that's not the right one though. So initialize, params, message, receiver. And again, just anything that has a priority before the receiver would not see those messages that it, or those events that it queues. So that's why I'm kind of being picky about where I place it. But nothing up here would need to, so I think it will be fine. Although if I have it here, let me, does it? That's okay. I was gonna say, it actually won't know if the state changes because it won't ever receive the state changed event. But it actually only needs the state to see if it should do any validation, so I think it will be fine. And if I really need to, I can break this class up. But I think it'll be okay. So let's see. I've done everything here, but nothing actually happens yet. So what I need to do with advanced setup, and then the setup manager needs to call the, I guess it needs to fire those events to start sending the lobby parameters. So let me see. Takeables, add new event exists listener. Change, so on phase change. And right when we enter the setup phase, we'll first want to initialize the lobby parameters, which I guess this class can do. But only if we're the host. So if local connection, oh, we don't store that yet. So if we're the host, let's do, I think I already, oh yeah, I already initialized the lobby parameters before, so I don't need to do that. We would actually, yeah, we just send the message. But yeah, so not throw, events, queue, new, params, send, or what is it? send params command. And if we're not the host, then we would queue request params command, which we don't actually deal with yet, but okay, and then override. I guess I don't need to do that. Yeah, so then I would just also queue to the parameters received event. So I guess this on parameters received. When this happens, we also check if we're in the setup phase, and if we are, then we can just queue our complete event, which just signals to the flow controller that we can move on. So I don't need that after all. The only thing that is a little scary to me is that there's nothing here that's stopping this from being called before we've actually queued these events. But I guess I'm trying to think if that is anything to be worried about. First off, why would the server send me parameters if I haven't sent any to it or requested any yet? So I don't know if this would ever actually happen, but if it did, I guess the only thing that could happen would be that the server would not be synchronized with us immediately. But it would get synchronized as soon as we set any input or did the final command, so yeah, I don't really think that any errors can come of this. And if so, I would just need to implement a thing here that says wait a couple frames. That's not that big of a deal, I don't think. Okay, so here we just want to subscribe to that new complete event. So event exists listener. So on setup complete. If I can spell it. And we'll move that down here just to clean up the code. So if state phase is set up, then we know that actually makes sense for this event to be called. And then we'd move to the input phase, and that's when the GUI would come on screen and become interactable. I guess we should test all this. I still don't have the client side class. I guess I'll just make it real quick. So params requester. And it's going to be a lot like this one, so I'll copy it. A little empty or unneeded white space up there. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Yeah, I'll need the local connection because we only want to do... Oh, that should be another thing. This message sender should actually only ever be active if the local connection is a host. I think that's pretty important. So here we won't need the lobby parameters, and actually, oh, we do need them because we have, well, here I do need them because I have to have them to send the message. But here I don't need them, so, because we don't actually do anything with them. Okay, and then this should be request. And instead of send info, request. And I guess I can go ahead and create the event because, or the message. What is it? Lobby params. Oh, I don't even need to send a message, so it's just an empty message. Let's clean this up a little bit. Alright, so on phase change, I think this will be the same because we'd only want to request them during these phases. On send command, so this should be request parameters command. And we just set active to true. We don't have to do anything else. Then on received, we set active to false, and then we don't need that. So yeah, this is pretty simple. Initialize params requester. Okay, so I think we're finally ready. I was still gonna complain that I can't load an unknown. I haven't set up a lobby though. Okay, so how would this work? So if I want to load immediately into the lobby, I should probably just have it create some default values. I don't need that true. If I do it now, there's going to be no lobby parameters, so it's going to complain about that. I don't know how much I want to worry about it though. Let's just see what happens. Well, nothing will happen right now because the UI isn't updated, or isn't hooked up to anything. But okay, so did a request parameters command. Oh yeah, because we're not even hooked up, or we're not even connected to anything. Okay, well, we'll just keep that code path available because we might want to do it at some point just to test the UI, but okay, so we'll create a game. That's fine. Okay, so and now it said that implement is not implemented because it's trying to send a message, but I haven't implemented that yet. So I guess that's kind of good that we got that far. Let's go ahead and do that. So I already did like a kind of rudimentary version of it. Yeah, so I have this lobby params message and I have this copy to, oh, but it goes from the message to the lobby parameters, so that would actually go somewhere else. But I don't want this to be in here. That would go in the receiver. I guess we'll leave this event, or that comment for now. Oh, hey, Expert. How are you doing? Good to see you again. How has Fortnite been treating you? Okay, so messages, slots. So really, okay, I'm just gonna need to put message at the beginning of all these things. I don't have to do anything else, I don't think. This user and slot. I'm trying to remember what this does, because I might want to change it. I think it's saying that there's someone connected to that slot. But even if not, we want to just be able to set the username. So I might change some of this. Let me see. Okay, yeah, so how it works right now is that you can't really reserve. Yeah, so I will need to mess around with the server. I guess maybe we'll need to do that now. Okay, so let's see. We have player, AI. I don't really need to have a separate guest type. Okay, well this is actually the lobby parameters, so... Okay, so we'll have the AI script. The username would actually be, for our guest, it'd be the guest's nickname. Yeah, so I think everything here makes sense. It's just what I send to the server. Okay, so let me see here. That's fine. Well, the user and slot really just means has this username been set or not, so that's okay. And then is guest. So I really just need to change the way the server interprets it. This function is getting a bit long, isn't it? Okay, so if it's a player and then is guest is false. So if it is a guest... Okay, well this is on the client side, so yeah, if it's a guest it doesn't actually... Okay, I see what's going on here. Yeah, I have to try and separate slots from clients in my head because it gets a little confusing. Because what's happening is if it's a guest or an AI, then there's no client associated with it. Okay, but so if we want to reserve a username, how would that work? So it can still be, I guess it just wouldn't be open at that point. So I don't have to change anything. Because taken doesn't really imply that that user is connected. Yeah, because here, if the client username is the same as the slot username, then it just assigns... Okay, well, I don't know why it does that, because... Oh, it does not equal. User and slot and client does not... Oh, then it force disconnects, I see. Why does it do this? So what if it is... Okay, so... Oh, I see. So open means it's disconnected. And taken means that there's a connected player in it. But... Okay, so this is kind of a misnomer because you can have it reserved for a certain player already. Okay. For a while I've tried to keep the clients so that they have the same index as the index in the lobby parameters, but now I'm kind of thinking that that might be more trouble than it's worth. Although I guess it doesn't make much sense. I mean, make much difference. Because there will never be more clients than slots, so at the very worst there'll just be some null, or some clients that just, I guess, have null state. So probably what I should do is just change this open to disconnected. What? So if a client, I'm trying to remember on the server, if somebody disconnects, do I remove the client? I think I just remove the connection. Yeah. Okay, so I think I'll rename this to connected and disconnected and connected. That's kind of what they mean. And so the server is going to try to assign a username to an untaken slot if it exists. Okay, so I think what's going on. Okay, thing is that when somebody gets verified, this data is kind of separated into different classes. Yeah, so here, yeah, when a client gets validated, it tries to assign it to a slot, and so that's where the actual logic comes into it. Okay, so yeah, client, connection ID, username, state is connected. Oh, because now it's setting it, okay. Where does it? Okay, so here's get open slot for user. Okay, so this maybe connected is a misnomer because of it. Okay, so if it gets disconnected, then it's not necessarily kicked from the slot because it could rejoin. So that makes sense, actually. Okay, so yeah, I was right before. Okay, I think I see what's going on now. So the reason that this changes to taken immediately is because it's not assigning someone to here, but just if there's a username associated with this slot, it can't be open anymore because it's going to be associated with a specific username. So that's why it changes it to taken. And then here, if taken, or if it's taken and there's a user in slot and the client username does not match the slot's username, that means somebody is in someone else's reserved slot, so we disconnect them. And then if there's no user in the slot, then that means it's open again. Okay, yeah, so for some reason, yeah, I always get confused about this code, even though it's not really that difficult. Okay, and then what happens here, we try and find a specific slot for this user. Let's go to that code. So it just looks through and sees if the slot is taken and the username matches this connection. If it does, then it just associates that slot. Otherwise, it tries to find an open slot. Yeah, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so I guess I don't need to change anything. I already support everything I wanted. Okay, well, now that we went down that rabbit hole. What was I? Oh yeah, I was trying to... In the sender, I was going to implement this get message, but then I started doing it in the receiver. Okay. So for slots, first we clear that, that's fine, and then we just add this in. So AI script means if it's chosen, then we set it, if not, null. Guest and parent username. Okay. I guess I could have a separate nickname for guest nickname, because guests don't really have a username, but it doesn't really make much difference. Okay, and then we'll just pass these mod stuff, which we don't... Yeah, really we only care about the slots for now, but... Okay, so that's taken care of. Now I need to do the reverse here, which I think I did in the old lobby controller. So it's loading from a save file, but we won't do that. We don't do that here. Yeah, sender. This is just kind of setting default names. I actually want to copy from the lobby parameters itself. Do I do that? Doesn't look like it. Okay, well, I'll just have to implement that. Okay, so our message equals lobby parameters message. Okay, so slots is the lobby parameters. This was that old test parameters, which I'm not going to use anymore. Don't I have networking. Oh, I forgot the new keyword. Okay, and yeah, this is an array, so I have to use count or a list. Slot type. Can I? Okay, we can't just set that. The username would be slot dot. Oh, the parent username. What would I do for this? I just pass that through actually. And then a user and slot is string is null or empty, slot username, and oops, I always add semicolons there when they don't need to be. Slot.username. Guess I don't need to do that. This is the framework mod. Okay, it's a different. Does that work? No, because this is a list and that's an array, so I just need to call to array. That takes care of that. Okay. And map blueprint. Save file would be. Okay, I guess it'd be that. We don't actually need to send the save file over to the server, I don't think. And then the random seed. Okay, so then we just return the message. Okay, So let's see now if we at least don't get this not implemented. Oh, we have an error. Not lobby params requester. Oh, this is during loading. Because it's going to ask for the lobby parameters at this point. Do I need to do that? Because the lobby, I think, is going to make sure it's synchronized before it exits. Yeah, I don't think I need to. I guess we'll come back to this. Let's see, throw new exception. Don't need to ask for lobby parameters anymore. Synced at the end of the lobby phase. Okay, and another thing I need to make sure about with all this is that if we're joining from a game that's already in progress, well, I guess, okay, we'd have to be a client if that was the case, and it would just be the same, so yeah. It's just if the game was in progress, then we wouldn't be able to edit things, so maybe I should... I don't know how I would know that. Would have to load from a save file. Okay, well, we'll see about that. I guess if we sent stuff to the server, it would just refuse our request anyway, so... No error. Change client lobby params message. Change event on the server. So it does that, but then the server doesn't send anything back. Okay, so now, right now, I guess the server doesn't automatically send the lobby parameters back once they're set. I think I would like it to do that though. Okay, good. So they're on the same class. So just on request, I guess I would just extract this. Well, no, it's a little different because when a lobby parameter is set, we'd want to send it to all connections. So yeah, I'd really just... Let's see, so params change. Oh, waits until next tick because, yeah, we want to queue this on the... Well, this is a normal queue, so it doesn't actually matter. But I'll leave it. I was gonna say we want to make sure this is queued on the parameter, I mean on the... during the game logic tick and not on Unity's network thread, but since it's just queued, that doesn't actually cause an issue. I think I'm kind of scared to change anything, but that's the whole point of this queue, is that it waits until the next tick anyway, so. Okay, and then we want to do send to all clients, which I have a helper class to do that. What is it? Connection helper, active, client sender, yeah. Okay, so we want to send to all. Yeah, the set lobby params. And we just send this back. And I guess I might go ahead and use that here too. Oh no, yeah, because it's send it to a connection. This would send it to a client slot. So yeah, so when somebody requests the parameters, we just send it back to that specific connection, and this makes sure that it's been verified. But when somebody sets the parameters, we send it to all. Okay, now it has switched to the input phase, thankfully. So let's look here. Params. Okay, so it got connected. Setup, send parameter command. So then it sends lobby parameters message to the server, and then it sent the set lobby parameters back. Okay, this was on the server. Okay, so on the same frame, we got this received. Really? Oh yeah, so it just got received, but nothing's listened to it yet. Okay, that's server stuff, event, client connection change on server. Okay, so then it's sending out this to say that the connection's changed. Okay, and then on the next frame, lobby parameters message was received. Okay, and then it immediately fired parameters received and changed event. Something else. Grab that and then send the setup manager complete. Okay, and then the next phase it went to input. Okay, so I think that's it. Okay, and we're also... Well, I did start a little late, so I could keep going, but we're actually at a great stopping point right now because next up we'd actually start implementing the UI controllers to actually take care of all this. Since we don't have mods set up yet, we probably won't load AI scripts yet. We'll have to do something for that. But yeah, right now we'll need to take care of all these drop downs and update. Oh, I should have an add slot button, shouldn't I? Yeah, let's go ahead and add that real quick so I remember. So that would be... Oh, I'm on the title screen. So let's create a button. Text. Add slot. And in order to get it to size to the text, I have to add a horizontal layout. And set width and height. Middle center. I guess I'll have a little padding. Okay, and then I want a layout element here to tell it not to have flexible width. Oh, I guess that's... Oh, because it's forcing to expand child. If I wanted to fix that, how would I fix it? Because it's forcing expansion. So I guess I'd have to add like I don't know, just blank areas on the sides. Well, I could do that, but I'm not really too worried right now. That's too much. Let's do 20. Okay, so anyway, we've got an add slot button. Add slot button. And I should add something here so I remember. And then add slot button. And then I'll need to have an event for that, so I'll just go ahead and add that in. Class, let's call it slot add command. And it doesn't have anything else. Okay, I guess we'll call it here for today. So yeah, had a pretty varied stream. Worked some on UI, some networking, some game logic, some server stuff. But yeah, I think that'll wrap it up. So thanks everybody for coming by and chatting. Offie Gamer, Next Timing, and X-Squirt, I really appreciate it. And also for a couple people that followed, that was really nice of you. But I should be back tomorrow at noon Eastern. Feel free to follow me here on Twitch or Twitter if you want to be notified when I go live. I also have a YouTube channel where I post all the old streams if you'd like to catch up or just see how the game used to look. You'll be able to find them there. And then finally, I have a Discord server where you can chat with me throughout the day. Yeah, I'd love to have you. So feel free to join if you're interested. Thanks, Offie Gamer. You have a great day too. But yeah, so I'll be back tomorrow and I hope to see you there. Ooh, oh yeah, one other thing. I'll put links in chat or you can check out the video description if you're watching from YouTube. But yeah, that's it. So bye-bye. Have a great day.